Hello, everybody. I'm Lady.
And I'm Alana.
And this is Spookery. Actually, I forgot what I was supposed to say for a hot second there. I was like, what am I line?
You're like,
how do I introduce
yes,
this
I
podcast?
talk now. I am a podcaster.
I have the set intro that we do every episode, but I just was like, nope, that's not happening.
There's no shame. I literally write it into my script every time because I just need it there or else I will forget it. So that and the outro.
Maybe that's where I'm going wrong. Man. But welcome to, I guess, my second last episode of Spookery season 1.
Don't speak too soon. This could be a two-parter.
I know.
You know what happened last time.
I know what happened last time, and that's fine. That was a choice that I made. But no, so I am very happy to report that my script for today's episode is significantly longer, and I'm scared to look at the final number when we finish recording this because I just feel like it's not going to be an accurate reflection of the notes I have.
It's perfect. It is going to be great, and this is going to be the best two-parter we have yet.
No, please don't jinx me this way. Don't jinx me. I was talking to my family earlier about like what categories I was going to get at the end of this, and they were just like, I bet it's going to be this. And I'm like, please don't jinx me. Don't do this to me.
That is crazy to think that your last spin of the season is going to happen tonight. We are going to see what the spookery spirits bestow upon you to end season 1 with.
Yeah. My I guess my own personal season finale, but then you're going to follow it up with the season finale. So like,
it's true.
You've got all the pressure. I just get like, I get the warm up act. I'm like the supporting act from a concert. You're like the headliner. So
that's true. You set the season off on a good tone, so hopefully I can finish this off right. You know, with something good.
Oh, I know it. I know. Your next case is going to be amazing. I know the case after that's going to be amazing. And fingers crossed, this episode's amazing, and my last episode's amazing. But we're going to focus on this episode.
Yes. Let's.
So. Today's episode is our lovely category, Hearts and Spades. And I'll recap the category again because some of you might not have listened to my last episode where I did the explanation, so here it is again. Hearts and Spades is basically our crime of passion category. It's, jilted lovers, broken hearts. It's people who were in love, who fell out of love and decided to take it out on each other. It's love triangles. It's crimes of the heart, I guess, is the way we categorize it. And then the spades part is the crime part. So We are covering my Hearts and Spades. And this one's going to be slightly different to my current repertoire of episodes because this is my most modern case.
Ooh, okay.
So I know you guys know that I like to live in the old-timies. I'm a bit of an old-timey gal. I love the history. I love the context. I love the spooky and bringing these, things that we know and lifting the veil. But today is not that day. Today, I guess it's like kind of a palate cleanser in a crime sort of way. I don't know. That's not right. But today we are covering a case called the Burial of Michelina Lewandowska. Have you heard of this one?
Never.
Okay.
Lewandowska?
I'll give you a Michelina Lewandowska. It's a Polish immigrant in the UK in 2011.
I gotta say, the name is beautiful right off the bat.
Yeah, her name is gorgeous. Like, Polish names just in general are very beautiful. Like,
they are, yeah. No, just like listening to you say that, it's just like poetry in a name. It's very beautiful.
Michelina, her name is beautiful. She was a beautiful person, like inside and out, like big celebrations to Michelina. But we are unfortunately talking about the burial of Michelina Lewandowska, which took place on May 28th, 2011.
Yeah.
So, I guess to get straight into it, Michelina Lewandowska was a 27-year-old woman living in Huddersfield, Leeds in the UK. She was a recent immigrant to the UK from Poland with her then-fiancé Marcin Kasperzak, who was 25 years old, and her 3-year-old son, Jacob. Michelina had followed her fiancé to the UK, and they were just beginning to embark on their new life together. But Michelina Lewandowska would soon find herself in an unthinkable situation. Buried alive.
No, that's literally my worst fear. What?
We'll be talking about the burial of Michelina Lewandowska, where she was buried alive.
Oh, I know this episode. This is going to be a hard episode for me, actually. Like, I do not like the concept of being buried alive.
No, I think while I was doing the research for this case, it's awakened a new fear in me. I think out of all of the buried alive cases that I've ever researched and looked into, this one's not as bad as, in the scale of being buried alive, but still, it's we're being buried alive, unfortunately.
I'll be the judge of that after this episode.
Yes, you please let me know if this is just as bad as other buried alive cases that you've talked about. That's what we're going to be discussing this episode, so of course, if this is not an episode for you, that's okay. We'll see you in next week's episode for our beautiful high-profile case, or you can go and survey our current beautiful Season 1 library.
Yeah, we got a whole slew of stuff to choose from, so...
Yeah, we got everything. I'm also just going to give this episode just a blanket warning. We're going to talk a little bit about domestic abuse. I'll kind of flag it when it's coming up. But of course, this category is Hearts and Spades. So
yeah, that kind of just comes with the territory almost, like you said. It just...
Unfortunately. So just keep that in mind. If that's not something that you want to listen to, that's okay. There are other episodes that you can listen to, and I hope you have a beautiful day.
Absolutely.
So we'll get to the Spades part in a little bit. But first, we're going to talk about the Hearts part.
Oh, the good part. The beginning of the horror movie where they're the happy family and everything's going great and they're so in love before it goes bad. Okay, cool.
I am going to give you the romantic context and how we got to May 28th, 2011. Let's talk about Michelina Lewandowska and who she was before.
Yeah.
So, Michelina Lewandowska was born in 1984 in Poland to Miroslava and Jan Lewandowski.
Okay.
She was one of 3 daughters. I couldn't find a lot of information on where it was. I know that she wasn't the youngest, but I don't know if she was the oldest. She was just one of 3 daughters.
Okay.
Their family lived near Lassus in Poland. She was often described as beautiful, and I'll post pictures of her on Instagram because she is stunning. She's kind of like, when you think of beautiful Polish woman, she fits that bill perfectly. She's young, she's thin, she's blonde. She's the whole package.
The whole package.
Yes. So, when Michelina was 21 years old, she was seated in a coffee shop close to her family home, and in walked a young man by the name of Marcin Kasperzak, who was 19 at the time. So Marcin Kasperzak was born in 1986 in Poland. I could not find the name of his parents, and truly that info probably isn't worth spreading because they're kind of innocent in all of this, so
yeah,
that's fair. Leave that be. So Michelina and Marcin, they met eyes in this coffee shop, and the connection was instant. It was like, boom. It kind of like a Bonnie and Clyde moment. They just saw each other.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I'm like, man, that Bonnie and Clyde type of instant connection.
That Bonnie and Clyde moment where you just meet eyes, you're like, that's the one.
That's how you know you got to run.
as soon as you lock eyes with someone, you're like, oh, that could be my soulmate. No.
Red flag.
Ship.
Bye.
If that happens in the Spookery, it's game over, babe. It's game over.
We're not here to find love. We're here to find spirits.
We sure are. Call in the spirits wherever they're at.
That's true.
So they had their Bonnie and Clyde moment. The two swapped their contact info, and they were in a relationship shortly after. It's kind of a meet cute, right? Just minding your business in a coffee shop, and in walks this handsome guy. He's a little bit younger, but he's got this kind of youthful cheekiness to him. And it's like, if this wasn't in the Spookery, this would be a really cute story.
Yeah, like you said, the beginning of the horror movies always are. If it ended, right before the climax of the movie, great, but...
Yeah. So, Michelina's family, however, were less than thrilled at this little love connection. Michelina's father, Jan, said that Marcin was trouble from the moment he met him.
Oh.
Yeah, so Jan, I'm just going to say right off the get, he has the best fucking quotes, I'm just going to call him Brutal Jan from here on out, because, every quote that I have from him is just oh.
Man. All right. I'm a fan of him already. A fan of Jan. A fan of Jan, yeah.
So, I always knew something wasn't right about Marcin, right from the start. We didn't make eye contact. He was spoiled and overprotected, maybe because he's an only child and a mummy's boy. His mother kept him cooped up in a cage like a chicken all his life, so when he went out into the world, he didn't really know what to do. Oh
my god, yeah, mic drop. Okay, Jan. I serve this guy up on a platter. He did not hold back. He's like, this man is a piece of garbage and we need to take him out.
I know, I love all of Jan's quotes that I have in here. I'm just like, oh, wow. So good.
For real.
Just pissed off dads are the best. Ooh.
He made a bird.
Anyway, he did. He's going to need some aloe for that. So, at any rate, despite Michelina's family's clear dislike, Michelina really, really loved him. So, a year after meeting him, Marcin popped the question.
Oh, no.
And she said yes. She was like, oh my god, of course. Absolutely. So, Marcin then proposed that the couple move to the UK where his parents were, and Michelina was like, absolutely. UK, love it. Let's go.
Yeah.
So her family was less than thrilled, naturally.
Yeah.
But they also made the call that Michelina's happiness was the most important thing right off the get-go. So they allowed her to move to the UK with him. And of course, like, she's 21. Like,
yeah. There's nothing they can really do. Like, even if they, like, made a fuss, it's just gonna, like, drive her away more at that point.
Yeah, it's a tough call.
It is.
Because, like, it's one of those as well where it's like, if you try and force it back too much,
yeah,
you'll just push her away. But if you kind of just let her into the situation, like, well, we'll find out, like, what'll happen.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
So.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez, oh, jeez, oh, dearie, dearie. So the couple moved into Marcin's home in Huddersfield, Leeds. Marcin took up work as a meat packer in a meat factory, and Michelina ran a small business from home where she mended clothes.
Okay. That's a good work-at-home job.
Yeah, I guess. And, like, from what I can understand, like, there were a lot of Polish immigrants in the UK. It's actually, I think they have, like, they're, like, one of the largest minority groups in the UK. Like, I think, like, Indians and, like, Southeast Asians, like, they're, like, the second biggest. But
Okay.
it's, like, there's a big influx of Polish immigrants. But unfortunately, they do end up with a lot of, like, I guess, like, blue-collar work. They're kind of, like, you know, like, you're going to work in the agriculture. You're going to work as meat packers. You're going to do this. You're going to mend clothes.
Gotcha.
So this is kind of common for a lot of Polish immigrants, especially during this time. This is 2006 when they move. Mm-hmm. So, and this is also right after when the EU opens up. So this is when all European countries can navigate into other European countries without the need of a work visa. So they can just come and go. It's actually something that my parents took advantage of when I was just a baby. Like, it was that kind of, like, swinging into other countries and working that way. It worked both ways. It wasn't just, like, all these immigrants were coming into the UK. It worked both ways.
Gotcha, okay.
Cool. So, 2 years later, after they moved to the UK, the couple welcomed a healthy baby boy into the world, whom they named Jacob Kasperzak in April 2008.
Okay.
So this was where the first initial cracks in the relationship kind of grow. So the two were young, and their responsibilities had now evolved from just spouse to parent, and like, especially with, like, young parents and new parents, this is kind of, it's an unfamiliar sort of, just like, we don't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're new parents. Their attention is no longer pointed at each other, but rather at Jacob. So I think this is when the initial strain really started to begin.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
The two actually called off the engagement shortly after Jacob was born.
Oh.
And for the next 3 years, they were constantly on again and off again. So, you know, they were constantly on and off again, but they were still living in the same house.
Yeah.
So she never moved out. She's living in this house with him and her mother and father-in-law with this 3-year-old. So, like, it's a weird, like, I mean, I guess, like, with the budget and, like, what you have to work on, like, sometimes it's just not achievable to move out.
I mean, it's funny that you say that, because it's like, look at the economy that we're in now. Like, so many people are in similar situations. So it's like, it's crazy how it's come full circle in that regard. Like, we relate to it now. We understand. Like, yeah, it is, like you said, just not feasible sometimes, especially if you have a kid. And
yeah,
the kid being around the grandparents is also not a bad thing, even if you're not with the father anymore. That's not, you know what I mean? You're being an adult. You're doing what's best for your child. So I kind of respect her for making it work.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of that shows, like, the on again, off again. You're like, there's that desire, you want it to be on again, you want this to work, you want to be a team.
Yes.
But sometimes but you're always in each other's space. There's no escape. Your in-laws are always there. You've got this young kid who just has basic human needs, and it's a lot. So I 100% get the on again, off again. But of course, it's a high strain situation.
Yeah.
So around this time, Marcin also began to spend a lot more time at his local gym, and he decided to become an amateur bodybuilder.
Okay.
He was reported to visit the gym at least 5 times a week.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like...
It's like almost every day.
I was like, I don't know what the recommended time at a gym is, but 5 times seems like a lot to me. And this is also where he started dabbling in anabolic steroids.
Oh, yeah. That's so common in bodybuilders, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Especially back then, they didn't know.
Yeah. But I'm going to derail this story for a hot second. Let's talk about steroid effects on the human body for a second.
Yeah.
Let's talk into the side effects. So, steroids naturally help develop muscle definition very quickly for the aspiring bodybuilder, but they come with a very, very long list of side effects.
Yeah.
Some side effects include acne, stunted growth, premature balding, liver disease, issues in your kidneys or heart, high blood pressure, trembling, nerve damage from needle use, shrinkage of genitals, increased libido, difficulty sleeping, mood swings, irritability, depression, paranoia, delusional feelings of being superhuman or invincible, and of course, roid rage, which is uncontrollable outbursts of violent aggression.
Yeah, the minute you brought steroids into it, I was like, wow, okay, that it just paints the direct, we see where this is going.
Yep.
This man is now just a ticking time bomb.
It's almost like setting up the perfect storm. Like, it's the tension is there, the feeling of suffocation is there, and then there's this added just aggression of steroids, and that increasing of the paranoia, depression, and who knows what other physical side effects were contributing to that. So,
yeah.
Just keep that in mind. So, while Marcina's going to the gym 5 times a week, Michelina was left at home with her in-laws taking care of baby Jacob. And when Michelina wasn't able to take care of her son, her mother-in-law was the one to watch the baby while Michelina worked.
Okay.
So it was a bit of a teamwork, but...
Sounds like he wasn't really pulling his weight. He was pulling his own weight, but not the baby's weight.
No, he was pulling weight, but in a gym setting rather than as a parent.
Yeah, as a parent. Yes.
As a parent. So, naturally, the two began arguing left, right, and center. The fights become more frequent. Michelina would call Marcin out for being absent or spending all of the time and money on bodybuilding, and Marcin began to mock Michelina for having become boring.
What? That's the response.
Yes, he's like, well, you're boring. And I'm like, if your significant other, if your partner, if your spouse, if your lover, boyfriend, girlfriend, the person you choose to spend the rest of your life with calls you boring,
cut and run.
Evacuate.
Yeah, literally, like, what?
Hit that eject button. Like, ooh. What an awful thing to say.
That is such a personal, especially someone who, they see you all the time, they almost know you better than everyone else. And that is just
someone that you wanted to marry.
That's literally just cruel. It is just a mean thing to say. There's no intention behind that other than to just be mean, because there's no constructive, what? You're just a boring mom now, and it's just what? Yeah. You were half of this, dude,
Yeah, it's like, man, you're so boring now. We used to be so cool, and now you're boring. It's just I'm literally caring for the life that we created as a team.
Yeah.
So, on top of, this boring comment, because, Marcin also begins comparing Michelina to the girls in his gym, stating that they were more attractive than she was.
Oh, no, he did. I don't care that this man's a bodybuilder. I want to slap him so hard right now, legit.
Yeah, no, There's no rooting for our boy Marcin. There's no rooting for him.
Yeah.
It's just I don't feel bad for what happened. So, naturally, Marcin's drug addiction was only fueled with fire, and the steroids would often lead to violent outbursts.
Yeah.
From what I can see through all of my sources and the reports that I found, he never physically hit her. But he threw his weight around, and he's an amateur bodybuilder, so that's a lot of weight.
Yeah, and that's terrifying. Like you said, even just the possibility of him making her think, I could hit you. I literally could kill you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I have that physical prowess over you, that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We got a lovely quote from our boy Yan here, so,
lay it on me.
All right, so here we go. The conflict between them got worse and worse, but there was no evidence. Either his muscle-building steroids messed with his brain, or he went crazy for some reason.
Straight up. Literally, it was just so... Couldn't have said it better, Jan.
Yeah.
Jan.
He summed it up. All right, so, then 2011 rolls around. Tensions are high for both parties, and both were pretty much at the point to call it quits. Michelina wants to go back to Poland with her son, and Marcin wants Michelina out of the picture so his mother can raise baby Jacob. Well, the relationship was the worst it had ever been, and they were in this off-again phase. And of course, Michelina's floating this idea of going back to Poland, but Michelina did still love Marcin. And she also made it a note to wear her engagement ring that he had gifted to her in hopes that they could kind of work out their issues. So it was kind of like, it's almost like this symbol of hope. It's like they're in the off-again phase, but she doesn't want it to be, but like the end is looming, but it's kind of that last fragment of hope is this engagement ring.
Yeah.
So I also like the way what I see from here is like, that's the old saying, right? Is distance makes the heart grow fonder. So like, I don't think Michelina wanted to leave forever in this particular situation. I think she wanted space. And being cooped up in the same house with this person, and there's just there's these violent fights, and you know they're living on top of each other essentially, and they're in the off again, on again. There's another couple living in this house.
Yeah.
And they've got a clear bias on who they personally care about. So I think she didn't want to, from what I could guess from here, like I don't think she wanted to call off the relationship for good. I think she just wanted space to go back to Poland, sort whatever she needed to sort out. Yeah, so I think, she wanted to go back to Poland. She wanted her parents to meet baby Jacob because they haven't met him.
I haven't even, like you said, thought about that really, like that she's just been there the whole time and her own family has not met her child. Like that's, I respect her wanting to go home.
Yeah, there was nothing in my reports that said that they hadn't met, but like from what I can see, like I don't think that was a viable thing. I don't think the travel between the two countries was something that you could just do casually. Like the fact that you didn't work permits made it easy, but I think it's still a costly travel expense. It's a huge gamble to just travel and like change countries and decide to live there.
Yeah, especially with a child, and there's a lot going into that. So
yeah, so I totally get her decision. It's a toxic work environment. It's a toxic living environment, and like it's no place to raise a kid.
Yeah.
So when Marcin hears that this is kind of what Michelina wants to do, he's not loving this plan.
Yeah.
So he made the decision that dead was better.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is where we're going to get into our trigger warning of domestic abuse. So if this is not what you want to listen to, please skip ahead.
We'll see you when we're done.
So, May 28th, 2011. Day started out like any other. Marcin texts Michelina and is like, hey, I'm really sorry. I've been a total prick. I want to make it up to you. Can I take you shopping today?
Tell him no.
So, naturally, Michelina is heckin' surprised. She's like, is this the right Marcin? I'm like, who is this?
Yeah.
But I also think she's super hopeful. Like, they're hoping that they can fix the issues they're having. I think she's hoping that they can be on again. She's hoping that they can be good parents for their son. And if this is him taking the initiative to if that's gonna help try and like be the first steps to fix things, why wouldn't she say yes? Like I would 100% fall for this. I know I would. So
yeah, it's such like a, and it's like in public, like you know what I mean? Like it's the risks are minimal. It seems.
Yeah, it's like he just wants to take her shopping.
Yeah.
During the day.
It is. It's such an innocent sounding request.
Yeah. So naturally, she's hopeful. She says yes. She hands Jacob over to her mother-in-law for the day and starts to get ready to spend the day with the man she loves.
Yeah.
She even goes as far as to put on the engagement ring he gave her. It's that symbol of hope thing. She's like, this is it. Like, we're gonna fix this.
Yeah, he'll see this and he'll know that my heart is still with him, and this will be the day, the start of the good stuff.
Yeah, this is we're gonna fix it. We're gonna patch it all back together.
I respect her optimism.
Yeah, unfortunately, Marcin was not planning on taking Michelina shopping. So, while Michelina was in their home's hallway and was finishing up getting ready for her day out, Marcin had invited a friend over, a 17-year-old named Patrick Boris.
Oh.
Just a reminder here, Marcin is 25 at this point.
Yeah, I was just
he
about
invited his friend who's 17.
How does he even have a 17-year-old friend?
I do not know. I couldn't find anything on how these two met. I don't know if they met at the gym, if they were just like, I don't know where their paths crossed. I don't know if he was a neighbor. I do not know how these two met. I don't know how they were friends. But they were. Yeah, so Marcin, 25, brings over his friend Patrick, who's also a Polish immigrant, who's 17. And Michelina sees him come over, and she's like, okay, like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? Then Marcin brandishes a 300,000-volt stun gun.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. From what I can understand, the two get into some sort of scuffle. Michelina's trying to push him away as he's brandishing this thing. And unfortunately, he manages to strike Michelina in the neck and hit her with a 30,000-volt shock.
In the neck?
In the neck.
That would bring anybody down. Jesus.
I actually looked into stun guns a little bit because I don't know the scale of stun guns.
Yeah. 3,000 just sounds like a lot. I'm just, like, estimating.
Yeah, 300,000 does sound like a lot, but I also didn't want to, like, show ignorance. Be like, actually, and the people were like, oh, like, actually, like, that's, like, the baby stun gun.
Yeah.
So I looked it up. So, here's a bit of stun gun context for you. This is my context for the episode.
Wow, I can't believe we waited this long to get to the context.
I know.
It's the longest we've ever waited.
It's recent context. It's sprinkled intermittently.
That's fair.
That's how I like it.
You said that the story was different.
Its story's different. My context is woven in, kind of like Hinterkaifeck, where like the whole like part 1 was the context, and then part 2 was the murder. Yeah, like I'm mixing up. I'm mixing up the context. The context is still there, but we've got the context.
Yeah, keep it fresh.
Gotta spice it differently.
Yeah.
So, a stun gun is a handheld shock device with 2 prongs that do not detach from the gun itself. The taser is the one that shoots the wires with the prongs at the end. That's what a taser is. A stun gun is the handheld one where the prongs are built into the device.
Okay, I appreciate the clarification, because I guess I didn't know that truly.
I didn't know that either, and I actually would have assumed it was the other way around. I thought it was the other way.
I thought they were interchangeable terms, I guess, and then just one, they just had different features. They're like, that's the 2.0 stun gun.
Yeah, I think in recent, like, times they are kind of used interchangeably, but the actual definition of a stun gun is it's the handheld one with the context built into the device, and a taser is the one that shoots.
Okay.
So the legality of a stun gun varies based on the distance between the contacts, so where the prongs are.
Okay.
So if there's only a 1 centimeter gap between the contacts, it cannot exceed 30,000 volts. So that's what a legal stun gun is. I don't know the particular model of the stun gun that Marcin used, so I don't know if it was a legal one.
Yeah.
But I can assume if the 300,000 one was legal, the contacts were pretty far apart.
Yeah.
So the average voltage of a stun gun is 25,000 volts. And that's the minimum voltage for most stun guns. The average range for a stun gun is 20,000 to 150,000 volts. So the average stun gun is the max that it can go is half of what Marcin used.
So he's using like an elephant tranquilizer on this woman.
Essentially. So it's only ever recommended that you up voltage on your stun gun if you need to circumvent thick clothing. But even then, they don't recommend going higher than like 50,000.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Being hit with a 25,000 volt stun gun can cause confusion, disorientation, and can prevent someone from moving or even thinking clearly. It's a stun gun. It'll stun you.
Yeah, you're electrocuting someone. Like, that's...
Yeah. So most police stun guns are 50,000 volts just so that they naturally circumvent thick clothing.
That's fair.
The consequences of a 50,000 volt stun gun are they're powerful enough to cause pain and muscle contractions. So that'll be enough to like seize up the whole body.
Yep.
Yes.
That's awful.
So if the stun gun exceeds legal voltage or the voltage is set too high, it can cause brain injury, loss of consciousness, abnormal brain function, and seizures.
Wow.
So
it gets serious real quick. You go.
Yeah, like this. It's not a thing that you mess around with. It's not a toy. It's not a cute thing. If you feel the need to use a stun gun, do not do it as a prank. Do not. It's not a toy.
Yeah.
I cannot stress this enough. Like, do not stun your friends. It's not cute. This is a weapon. It's used for self-defense. It's used to protect yourself. It's not something that you can use to attack someone. It's not used to look how funny.
Yeah.
No.
It's very serious.
Very serious. So Michelina naturally goes down like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I'm shocked. That's not the term I should use. I'm surprised that she even survived this horrible, like, that alone, genuinely, especially being, like, a thinner, petite woman.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like it could really do some, like, true damage to you.
Like...
The effects of something that high is literally not even reported, so it's... You wonder.
Yeah, I could not speak for what this did to her body. I cannot say.
Yeah.
So, while she's on the ground, Marcin then pushes his knee into her ribs while she's on the floor.
Oh, wow.
And then uses the stun gun again.
What?
Again in the neck.
I have no words.
That's 2 hits with a 300,000 volt stun gun. That is brutality at its finest.
There was literally no need. That is, like you said, like that. Why? What possessed him to do it once, let alone twice?
Twice.
That's unfathomable. Like, truly, just.
It's abuse. It's as flat out. This is what domestic abuse is. It's not even like it doesn't even have to get to this scale, but just the willingness to do that to your partner.
Yeah, that's so sad.
That's 2 hits with a 300,000 volt stun gun. Marcin then tapes her mouth shut and duct tapes her arms and legs together with packing tape with the help of Patrick.
As if that's necessary at this point. Like, this woman is not going to be moving, probably for several days. If
most likely she is paralyzed at this point. Like, the muscle contractions alone of just, like, that it didn't specify how long the stun gun was held. Whether it was just an initial contact or if it was prolonged contact, I didn't even
think of that. Yeah, I did, and that makes a huge difference. Like you said, that's terrible.
Yeah. So, Marcin then begins shouting at Michelina while he's doing this. From what I can understand, he went on a rant about how long he had hated her, that it would be better for her to just go away and leave their son Jacob with him and his mother, and that she would never see them again.
Okay.
It's fucking nightmare fuel. Like, this is everyday worst nightmare. Like,
and knowing that it's only gonna get worse.
Yeah, but it's like the betrayal, I think, is the kicker for this. It's like, she loved him. She loved him desperately. And then he could make this decision to harm in this way. And just... And to do it twice, of all things. Like, to use that level of stun gun twice.
Yeah.
On someone that you created life with. Yeah,
literally. Like you said, this person was getting ready for just a nice day out. And just, like, I can't even imagine, like, just the utter confusion that she went through in that moment of just being like, what is actually happening right now? Like, your brain would just not even be able to process, especially even after that. Like, it just, like, what the heck?
Do you want to hear it get worse?
Lay it on me, ma'am.
So after this, it was then described that there was a lull in the atmosphere. Marcin offered Michelina something to eat and drink, and then offered to help her go to the bathroom. While that's going on, Patrick is sitting at the computer playing video games.
As if, like, nothing's happening.
This 17-year-old just witnessed his 25-year-old friend electrocute his partner twice.
Attempt to murder her.
Then wrap her limbs in tape that he helped with. Then just set her aside and was like, I'm gonna go play a video game.
Yo, you got games on your phone?
Yeah, basically. And it's like, this is 2011. What games are there to play? Skyrim's not even out yet.
I'm like, he's just going and playing Pong on the computer right now? Just like what?
Nothing good came out in 2011. They were all at the end of the year. Like, let's be honest. Like, there's nothing... What, are you playing FIFA? Are you playing FIFA 2010? I bet they were. I feel like they were playing FIFA.
Probably.
That's gonna be my guess. So, kind of like during this lull phase, Michelina's restraints had been loosening slightly, but Marcin took notice, so he reapplied the gags and binds, and then forces Michelina into a cardboard PC box. A PC box. A box that a tower PC comes in.
Oh my god.
They then tape the box shut and load Michelina into the back of Marcin's green Vauxhall Astra.
Oh my goodness. That is... I just can't even imagine. Like, I truly... That is just... unreal.
Yeah. It's harrowing. This is like it's such an extreme level of violence.
It is. Like, it's so unnecessarily grotesque, like, truly.
Yeah.
Like,
and the worst part about all of it is like, you can buy everything that he used on Amazon. I looked it up. You can buy a 300,000 volt stun gun on Amazon.
That's disgusting. Why did that even exist?
Of course, this is 2011, so, like, don't think they had Amazon back then, but...
Yeah, so he, like, went out of his way to go get this torture tool.
He probably was like at like his local hardware store. It was probably in like a self-defense section. Like,
yeah, or like some sort of like a hunting, I don't know. Like if like, a bear runs up on you, you need something to
chase that bear. But like,
I don't know.
Yeah, but it's like everything that he used, you can just buy. It's like it's the same as like having a murder pack where you go and get garbage bags, bleach, and like rubber gloves. Like they're red flag purchases, but also like this is like it's packing tape and a stun gun. It's like.
Yeah.
Everything else you can find at home. It's like
and like you said, the PC box that he already had the computer. Like these are just common household like items that he was like. I'm so morbidly curious of how pre-planned this was. Like of him making these purchases. Like did he intentionally go to the store seeking out these items to commit these crimes, or
I definitely would say this is premeditated. I mean, the fact that he texted her to say like let's go shopping today, fully intending on doing this, like he deliberately invited Patrick over, it's definitely premeditated. I would put money on the fact that this was all purchased ahead of time for this purpose.
There's just, like you said, there's so much evidence pointing to the fact that it is like a premeditated thing, but it also like for someone like him where, you know, Jan, as we've seen too, like this guy's just, he's a roid rager, so it's like it's crazy that this person that is so like unhinged had the mental capacity to plan out something so devious, and instead of it just being this giant blow up. Like,
sure, but also one of the side effects of this anabolic steroids thing, it's paranoia, and that's going to put you on edge. It's going to get your mind going. So even if it's not going in healthy places, it's going. And I'm like,
that's true.
I would argue that the effects of these drugs were likely enough to put him on that path, and then it was just like what's a convenient thing that I can buy. Maybe he saw the stun gun in the store and was like, oh, that's an idea,
like that's the ticket. Yep.
Yeah. So but
like I said, just my morbid curiosity wanting to know,
and I don't have that answer, unfortunately. I couldn't find anything about the premeditation of it all, but
no, that's okay.
Yeah. So the three then drive to a nearby wooded area just outside of Huddersfield. The area they took was like a narrow lane surrounded by woodland, and it bordered private property. The car was actually captured on CCTV cameras during the drive to the destination, so like there is actual like video out there of this car like going to this wooded area.
That's so crazy. It's like you said, it's a modern crime.
Yeah, it is. It's so easy. Everything that they did is very doable. But do not do this.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
I will disavow you. You're banned from the Spookery if this is something that you contemplate.
Please, for the love of gosh.
Yeah. So, they then carry Michelina inside the box into the woods. God. The two then dug a shallow grave, placed the PC box inside, her head pointing down, and then they filled up the hole. And she's aware of what's happening to her. She's conscious the entire time.
God, this poor woman.
Right. It's awful. It's so horrible. So Marcin and Patrick then cover the box with soil, twigs, leaves, and tree branches, one of which weighed 40 kilograms or 88 pounds. And they just put that on this box.
Wow. They were really trying to make sure she didn't get out.
No. So Michelina had unfortunately been buried alive, and her air supply was being crushed by both ends. From what I can understand, her only air supply that was available were the two handle grips on the side of the PC box. You know, like how they're naturally built in to help carry the box. Those are the only like ways that air is coming in and out of this thing, and those had been filled with soil.
Yeah.
So, happy with their work, Marcin and Patrick then just went to a nearby ATM with Michelina's bank cards, took £500 out of her bank account, and then drove home to play video games.
Bought some V-Bucks on Fortnite.
Was Fortnite there?
I don't know, like you said, bought some skins on FIFA with her money.
Maybe. Some of my sources said that the £500 was to pay Patrick, but this wasn't confirmed and it wasn't in the official police report, so I don't know. But they took £500 out of her bank account. That was assuring.
That's just...
Yeah.
Wow. I really couldn't... I just can't. I cannot wrap my head around that why is just the biggest question of just why.
But I do have some good news for you.
Yeah.
I never said Michelina died.
I had a little bit of hope, but I wasn't going to be too optimistic. So what happens?
Is a motherfucking survivor. Michelina is not being taken down by the likes of Tweedledum and Tweedledummer. Let me tell you something.
Fuck yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. That is what I needed. Okay.
So we got through it. We got through the hard part, but now we can just celebrate this fucking woman because she is a badass motherfucker.
Yeah. So how the hell does she survive this?
All right, so let me tell you the survivor tale.
Yeah.
So, lying in her shallow grave, Michelina waited 30 minutes after the boys left, just listening to see if that they were still nearby, because she has no idea. She can't see. The box is taped shut. She's buried. No idea.
Yeah.
She said later, during my time inside my shallow grave where I was buried alive, I feared that my life was at an end and I was going to die. I prayed to God to help me survive so that I could look after my young son. The thought of my son gave me the strength to fight my way out of the box and save myself.
Wow.
That is the motherfucking power of mother's love. Like
100%, man. Wow.
Let me just take a moment to just like praise Michelina. Like, just, she's so fucking cool.
Seriously. Wow. What a woman.
What a woman. So once Michelina felt that the coast was clear, she decided to make her move, knowing that her oxygen supply was going to run out soon. Now remember, her legs, hands, and mouth are all taped up. And she's taped up inside a box that's being weighed down underneath tree branches.
And she's upside down.
But she's not unarmed, because she's wearing her engagement ring that fuckboy McFuckface gave her.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes.
So this particular wedding band, it's actually very pretty. I'll post pictures of it on Instagram. It's a very simple gold band with 3 diamonds side by side. It's very simple, it's very elegant, and motherfuck, it's a symbol of hope, but it's not hope for the relationship, it's hope for fucking survival.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. So, with her arms bound, she takes off the ring, and she kind of like carries it down to her feet, because I think she's in a fetal position at this point. And she basically, like the ring in her hands, just begins to scratch and cut up the tape that's binding her legs.
Hell yeah.
So, also remember, she's at a PC box. There's no room. This thing is designed for a tower PC. Like,
yeah, they didn't make those secure. You know, you put like just enough like packing foam in there to make sure it doesn't jiggle around. You don't want it going places.
Yeah. So another quote from her: "It was not easy as I was tied up," she later said during trial. "The only thing I could move was my head, which was also tied up with tape." Wow. So she successfully cuts the tape from her legs free, then puts the ring back on her finger and forces her hand through one of the side grips.
Wow.
She says, quote, "I was focusing on the hole that I had just made. I took my head out from the box through the hole, and at that point, the soil was just getting in."
Oh, no.
So this motherfucker just begins to punch and claw at this hole and the walls of the cardboard prison, ring first, and just rips the side of the cardboard box apart.
Holy crap.
Literally an hour after being left for dead, Michelina just stands, exhausted but triumphant, over her makeshift grave. Like, round of applause to this woman. The fact, like, right from the get-go, the fact that she even had the wherewithal to sit there and wait and listen and plan and plot and be like, all right, I need to make sure they're gone, because if they are still here and I push out, they are going to kill me. Absolutely.
So she waited.
And, like, the wherewithal to not panic and to know that you've got a diminishing oxygen supply, and to even have, like, just the thing, like, I have a weapon with me, and those fuckers didn't take it from me. Like, ooh.
What a helpless situation that she just was the most optimistic person I think I've ever heard of. Like,
yeah. Like, she just fucking Uno reversed the situation is what she did.
She did. She was like, today's not my time. And she stuck her hand right out of the grave. Like, I can only imagine, like, God, that is literally a scene out of a movie, is just this woman reaching up and clawing her way out of her own grave. Wow. Kudos to her, man.
Yeah. Michelina then runs to the nearest road and hails down a passing car. The driver, a man named Dan Broccoli, immediately stops and races her to the police.
Wow.
So then Michelina recounts the entire day and evening's events to Detective Chief Inspector Lisa Griffin, another badass woman.
Heck yeah.
She tells her all about her on and off again, now permanently off relationship. Her ex-fiancé tasering her, tells her all about being shoved in a box, and the ordeal that she's went through and where she came from, and she begs Detective Griffin to help her bring her son Jacob back to her.
Yeah.
So the police go to the scene of the crime. So, in all of my reports that I found, they called it specifically a scene of crime officer. A scene of crime officer named Carl Ackroyd made a video of the scene, which was later shown in court, showing off the grave, the foliage used to cover the scene, and the cardboard prison now in pieces.
I was curious when you said scene of the crime. I'm like, there are really two crimes. I mean, she was buried and she was attacked. So which scene?
Yes,
were we heading to?
the scene of the burial.
Gotcha. So, are we going to arrest this hacker or what?
Well, hold on. Let me finish describing the scene, man.
I'm sorry. I just want to see this man get justice. I'm sorry. I'm patient.
So, the box had been placed in a natural depression in the ground. So, like, these motherfuckers didn't even, like, properly, like, dig out their own, like, grave. They, like, there's, like, a dent in the ground that they kind of, like, dug out a little bit more.
Oh, wow.
It was 33 meters from the road, and a piece of a tree, aka the massive tree branch which had been placed on top, was found nearby.
Yeah.
There was also a variety of spade marks in the soil around the scene. Hence the spades part of the story.
Yeah.
So, Ackroyd also stated that they were, as they were dissecting the scene, they found items of clothing trailing from the hole at one end of the box. So this is, like, how she got out.
Oh, okay.
They didn't specify what the items of clothing were, but I'm gonna take a guess and say maybe it was probably, like, a sweater or, like, an outer layer of clothing that probably got caught as she was, like, trying to get out. Or there could have been clothes at the bottom of this box inside the box already, and they kind of got, like, caught as she was escaping. That could be another possibility.
Yeah, they might have, like you said, stuffed other things in there. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows what they were using this box for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ackroyd later said in court, it's not a 6-foot deep hole, but it is an attempt to conceal. So, the intent was to hide what had happened.
Yeah.
So, the police then raid Michelina and Marcin's shared home, and they apprehend Marcin and Patrick, who were probably still playing video games.
Ugh, gross.
Yes. So, now at the station, Marcin was very quick to deny kidnapping and attempting to murder Michelina. And he basically said, it was just a prank, bro.
I'll just tase you as a prank, bro. You want to just, like, get 2 volts right to the neck real quick? You want to... Not 2 volts, two heckin' little...
2 volts, you get 2 volts.
2 whole volts, no, 2 million, like, come on, put this man in the chair.
But, like, no joke, like, he literally told officers he was just trying to scare her, and was planning to go back and dig her out after she'd learned a lesson.
I literally cannot even fathom why he thought that would work at all. Like, it really shows how dumb this guy is.
But also, like, what lesson? What was the lesson here? Like, what are you trying to teach a woman? Like, how do you teach a lesson by burying someone alive?
If that's how you teach lessons, clearly we need to take your son. You're not fit to teach lessons. Like, please get him away from civilization. This isn't how humans communicate with each other.
Yeah. So, he did confess to taking her credit card and withdrawing £500.
What you freaking do?
He said he used to pay a 17-year-old accomplice, but that's only in some sources and not all of them, so...
I cannot actually believe that the 17-year-old was involved in this. Like, I know teenagers do make some dumb decisions and stuff like that, but actually, like, I don't know how he coerced this other person to be like, yeah, we're gonna actually attempt to murder her, and I will give you $500. Like, is that not enough?
Like, but it's also, like, how... Like, the whole thing is so fucked up, because one, it's like, well, how do you make a decision to hurt your partner, your romantic partner this way? 2... How do you look at yourself and go, you know who could help me? A minor. I'm 25 and I'm going to get this 17-year-old. I'm going to pay him £500 and he's going to help me commit murder. Like...
It's baffling.
And then, like, as a 17-year-old, and looking at that situation, this 25-year-old approaches you. It's like, "Hey, kid, you want to commit a murder with me and like help me kill my ex-fiance?" And he's
for the
like,
low price of £500.
For the sweet deal of £500, and he's like, "Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Can we play FIFA afterwards?" It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Naturally, Marcin was charged with kidnapping and attempted murder.
Thank goodness.
On top of that, when the police were searching Marcin's home, they found, in quote, large quantities of makeshift explosives.
Excusez-moi?
They found explosives. They didn't specify what these explosives were, what their intention was, but they found large quantities of them. So, An additional charge of possession of a prohibited weapon was added to his charge.
Cool. Yeah, load on the charges, guys. Like, what else did you find in there? Can we just, like, he had knives in the kitchen, too. That's another weapon. Like,
yeah. It's just...
I'm like, let's just, like, literally tack on, like, I want this man to never see the light of day. Like, he literally needs to be buried alive in a prison.
Maybe that's, like, how we, like, reform the justice system, is that anything you inflict upon a person, you get inflicted upon yourself. Is that the new law?
An eye for an eye, a tooth for the tooth.
Yeah, vengeance is a slippery slope. All right, so Detective Griffin, our beautiful Chief Inspector Detective Griffin, commended Michelina's bravery. Quote, she undoubtedly saved her own life by freeing herself from the box Kasperzak had buried her in. Kasperzak has shown himself to be an unpleasant intimidator of vulnerable women, and I am pleased that he is now behind bars where he belongs. So, whole thing goes to court at the end of November the same year. Prosecuting officer in this case was a man named Jonathan Sharp, and presiding judge was a man named Judge Peter Collier. It was a super clear-cut verdict, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, like, when the victim is alive and can tell the whole story, I feel like it's very, like...
Yeah.
Clear-cut.
Quote, in a nutshell, this case is about a young man who got bored with his partner, the mother of his child, and he decided to get rid of her, said prosecutor Jonathan Sharp. Sharp lays out the whole event. Marcin getting bored of Michelina, wanting to date women from the gym wanting to date the women from the gym. Basically hating the woman that he lived with, and he didn't want to lose his son, and instead he wanted his mother to raise the baby. So instead, he didn't want to raise Jacob. He wanted his mother to raise Jacob.
Yeah, she did a good job. Look, he raised him. He's like, he did such a good job on me. Mom, take this other one.
Yeah, so instead of an amicable split and the threat of paying child support, Marcin made the decision to attempt murder in a horrifying and just fucking awful way.
Yeah.
So,
like, there was just absolutely no need for that. There's so many other ways, normal ways he could have gone about this. The fact that he jumped straight to murder is just...
Yeah.
Man.
Judge Collier said that this whole thing was a planned attempt to kill. Quote, it was your intention that she should not be found, and it was your intention that she would die there. The death you intended would have been long and slow. It is mind-numbingly awful to imagine the sort of death you intended for her to die. I must have regard in the uniquely chilling nature of this case. As I have already observed, being buried alive must be one of the most dreadful ways to die that anyone can imagine. We love it when a judge has something to say.
Genuinely, like, I think it's very profound, and it really, because they sit there very respectfully the entire time, and after they have heard all the facts, for them to just throw the book at you and just be like, yep, you are a total monster, and this was absolutely horrible. You deserve everything that's coming to you.
Yeah, oh yeah. So the trial ended January 13th, 2012. The jury then deliberated for 8 hours, and I feel like, why did it take so long? Why did it take 8 hours?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just could not get over the fact that it happened. I don't know.
Maybe. But they did vote. They voted to indict guilty by an 11-1 majority. Who is this one?
Yeah, and what are they, like... What could they possibly, like you said, there's actual physical evidence, there's a witness story corroborating the physical evidence.
Yeah.
I don't know, and they have two people that confess to the actual... What happened?
I do not know.
There's nothing to debate. It just is.
Yeah, like, when you have, like, the actual victim be like, this happened to me, like, what do you deliberate for 8 hours going, I don't know, maybe he didn't do it. It's like...
I don't know.
Anyway, he was found guilty. Both of them were found guilty.
That's the main point.
So, Marcin was found guilty of attempted murder and kidnapping and was sentenced to 20 years in prison.
Not enough.
He was also additionally convicted for possession of a prohibited weapon, which was an additional 8 4-year sentences he'd serve concurrently. So that's 32 years.
Thank you for doing the math. I was sitting here going, 8 times 4 is what? Wow,
so he's going to serve the 20 and the 32 concurrently. So the max that he can serve is 32, and he's got the possibility of parole. So, Patrick Boris was not convicted of attempted murder, but he was convicted of kidnapping, so he was sentenced to just 4.5 years in a juvenile detention center because he was a minor.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So, after sentencing, Judge Collier had this to say, because we love a quote in this house. The problem you faced was that she would not go willingly and leave your child with you and your mother. So it was then you formed a plan to get rid of her. Fortunately, she escaped. Her raw determination to survive for the sake of your son is undoubtedly what saved her. After the trial, Michelina's mother Miroslava stated, "I am so happy by the verdict because for me it means peace at last. I was waking up at night having nightmares in which I saw Marcin's face. He was haunting me like a ghost." This is her mother, Michelina's mother. Michelina had her own thoughts on everything. Quote, "The big question for me is how long he'll be jailed for, because I won't feel safe if he's free. I still have nightmares that Marcin will come back and find me and kill me. I want him to be locked up in a safe place for as long as possible, just so that me and my son can try and have a happy life. For many years I loved Marcin Kasperzak very much, but after this horrific attack upon me, my feelings towards him have turned to hatred. My only hope is that he can accept what he did to me was very wrong. I really hope that no one will ever experience what I went through that day, and at the hands of the man who I loved and trusted." So, yeah, it's kind of hollow, like this horrible, gruesome thing. And 32 years?
Yeah,
for
that's like
attempted
the
murder?
most justice that she gets is, like you said, 32 years of peace, and after that she has to go back to worrying and looking over her shoulder for not only herself, but for her son.
Yeah, well, I did a little bit of math here as well. So, Patrick is out. He would have been released in around 2015, 2016 if he wasn't released early on good behavior out of this juvenile detention center. I can only hope that he learned his lesson and turned his life around and is no longer kidnapping women. I literally Googled his name and went through any records I could find of the name Patrick Morris, and I didn't find anything, so I'm hopeful, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And he might have gone back to Poland, and that's a completely different court system, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Marcin would be looking at a release in about 2044, assuming he's not eligible for early release. So that would make his son Jacob 36 when he is released. As for Jacob and Michelina, I can only hope that they're living their best life. So today she would be about 39 and Jacob would be about 15. I didn't want to look into what they were up today because I guess the unfortunate reality is that Marcin is going to get out in their lifetime. And if he hasn't learned his lesson, they're not safe.
That is such a weird thought that I don't know. I don't know how that's justice. How her having to go back to being scared at some point, how that's fair.
Yeah, and it's this is my big, I guess, my preach for this episode is I don't like how we define attempted murder. Because in my eyes, the only difference between murder and attempted murder is success.
Exactly. Your intention was the same. Just because you made a mistake or this person, managed to outsmart you or outwill you, whatever it be.
Yeah, or they got lucky.
That should not change the consequences of what happened. Your intent, like you said, was to inflict the most unimaginable slow death to a person that just wholeheartedly trusted you. That to me is worth several consecutive lifetimes.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where my personal definition for it comes, is it's all about intent. Life is about intent and consent, right? So if your intention is to harm someone, if you have made the conscious choice to be a monster and take somebody's life, that's the moment that the murder has occurred, as far as I'm aware, because you have actively made that decision to do it.
In your head, that person's dead.
Yeah. That's it. It's kind of like when you decide to quit a job or you decide to get bangs, or it's like when you have made the active decision, it's basically done.
That's exactly it. When the decision is made, it necessarily, the result of it doesn't matter. You've made that decision and you need to be held accountable for that decision.
Yeah, and it's... So I looked up the specific definitions of first degree, second degree, and attempted murder, just so that we could kind of psychoanalyze it, I guess.
Yeah.
So, first degree murder, long story short, it's murder with intent to kill. It's... The wording I specifically saw was unlawful taking of life with express malice aforethought, which basically means there was intent to murder, the murder was planned, and the murder was carried out successfully. Those are the three pieces of the pie.
Yeah.
Death by explosives, weapons of mass destruction, armor-penetrating bullets, poisoning, torture, or ambush are always considered first-degree murder. To me, this sounds like ambush to me.
Yeah.
Torture, this sounds like torture to me.
Yeah, like 100%. I don't know how you could argue that it wasn't. Like,
yeah. Minimum sentence for first-degree murder is 25 to life. I think this is in the U.S. definition. It varies from country to country.
Yeah.
Minimum sentence is 25 to life. But chances are, if you've commit first-degree murder, you're spending the rest of your life behind bars.
As it should be.
Yeah. Worst case, capital punishment is pursued if it's available in the country that you live in.
Yeah.
Like, but, I mean, if I describe this like this to you without the definition, this would sound like what we're going through, right? Like, it's ambush, it's torture, it's the willingness to take someone's life, it's the intent, the malice.
It's the intent of malice, yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that we're missing is murder was carried out successfully. That's the only piece you're missing.
I just don't understand why that is, like, a factor that, like you said, that changes anything. To me, that's irrelevant. Like, it's...
Yeah, so looking at second-degree murder, because I truly, before this, I didn't know the difference between first degree and second degree. They're like words that are thrown around, but I'm like, I don't know what like specific like definitions were.
No, same. You're teaching me a thing right now too.
I'm gonna teach you a thing. So, second degree murder is you still have the intent to end a life, but there's no specified target or provocation. So it's like when you consciously endanger a human life, but there isn't a particular human life in mind. So a great example that I saw was shooting a gun into a crowd. The intent is to kill, but there's not a particular target. It's just intent to kill. Okay. Another example would be flooding a room full of people. Drunk driving or under the influence of drugs also count towards second-degree murder because it's the intent. Like, I guess the difference is second-degree murder is when you actively make a reckless and risky choice with no consideration of the consequences and no consideration if a life is taken at the end of it. So if you're actively making choices that harm another person's life and that could have lethal consequences, that's second degree murder.
Okay. I do see the difference between the two there.
So that makes sense to me. They're very clear. Like, first degree outlined by I wanted to kill this person. I thought it out. I bought the rope. I bought the stun gun. I bought the garbage bags. I
had a target in mind. Yeah.
Yes. Like, I planned how this was going to go, and then second degree was I want it to happen, but I'm not really sure how it's going to go, but a life's ending by the end of the night.
Yeah.
Like, that's where it is.
Okay.
The definition for attempted murder, which would be the outcome of today's crime.
Yeah.
Attempted murder is exactly the same as the previous murders, only difference, they fail.
That doesn't do it for me. I'm gonna be completely honest. I know that people a lot smarter than me have made this system, and it is what it is. But to me, that just doesn't feel satisfactory. Yeah,
and I think it's the degree, it's the variables that create the failure that really don't do it for me. So like failure in this particular case, it was because Michelina was a badass. Like, she had the wherewithal to think about her situation, think what she had on hand, and she made a plan, and she fucking carried it out like the badass she was.
Yeah.
But there are other people who are not lucky that way, and they're not put in similar situations like this. So failure, some of the examples that I saw was firing a gun and missing.
Yeah.
That's considered attempted murder. Successfully stabbing someone but just missing a vital organ, and so they are injured but they don't bleed to death, or they're not stabbed in a vital place, that's considered attempted murder. Rigging an explosive device and it failing to detonate, that's considered attempted murder. And for some reason it comes with an extremely reduced prison sentence, which I guess it, because like the failure factor, I guess, for lack of a better word, that's not where the murder occurs to me. Because we talked about it already. Murder is when the decision is made.
Yeah, exactly. So. And that's like, so it's almost like you're just punishing the victim for living. Like, if you would have died, then your perpetrator would have got a harsher sentence. And it's like, how is that justice? Please, someone make it make sense. To me, we are literally punishing the victims for living.
Yeah, and it really is. Now they have to live, Michelina will live 32 years, hopefully, with peace of mind.
Hopefully.
But But then he's also eligible for parole. Attempted murder often comes with this eligibility of parole or early release.
Exactly,
So,
and that means she has to be privy on his whereabouts at all times. She has to be constantly looking up, is he released? That's not peace of mind if she has to keep checking.
And I think about, like, where can we go in today? Like, if we're thinking about it just as today, like, what availability do we have to go somewhere? Like, coming to the States isn't really a viable option. Going back to Poland, that's, like... He kind of knows where you are. Like, staying in the UK, like, is that safe? And then going somewhere completely foreign, like, that's such a risk. It's such a gamble.
It is.
So it's, I don't know. It's the fact that he had explosives in the house. I wonder if there was more to the story. Like, there was another plan. That if this buried alive plan hadn't worked, if she had just come home instead of going to the police, because I guess Marcin thought that she was just hopeless and dumb and boring and awful. Maybe he didn't think that she would go to the police. Maybe she was like, oh my god, that was so scary. Why did you do that to me?
Yeah.
And, like, was the explosives a backup plan? Was that plan A? And like, he just couldn't figure out how to rig explosives. Like, what?
Yeah.
What's the purpose of that? So,
yeah.
It just... I'm sure that, yeah, like you said, there are people who are way smarter than us who have got this figured out, but, like, just in my uneducated opinion, it doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah. And that's the best way I can put it. Like you said, in my personal opinion, this doesn't sit right to me. But at the end of the day, all as I can say is I am so proud of this woman. Just props to her as a human being and as a mother. I can't imagine, like, her son being like, I have a mom that just, like, she literally would do anything for me. Like, she would crawl to the ends of the earth to fight for me. And she literally did. Like, there is just nothing like a mother's love.
No, there really isn't. And just, yeah, it's love. It's you know, making that... I feel like if Jacob hadn't been part of the picture, I feel like this case would have had a very different outcome. And it wouldn't have been a favorable outcome. That we wouldn't be sitting here celebrating a survivor. We would be talking about a horrible, possibly unsolved, like, mystery. Yeah. Just woman appears in woods.
Yeah, this could, like you said, the outcome of this could have changed in so many different ways. But thank God that it ended how it is. And hopefully this man never, ever sees her again, and she can just live a good life.
I hope that wherever Michelina Lewandowska is, she's living her best Czech life. I hope that she's raised Jacob into the perfect small human, and knowing your experiences, I know that she has. And just, yeah, I hope they're both staying safe, and I hope that they're living safely in peace, and that nobody comes and bothers them, nobody comes to find them.
Absolutely.
But
no, I think, like you said, leaving out the extra details, we wish them well from afar, and we leave them be, and just hope that they're doing well.
Yeah. Thrive in peace.
Thrive in peace. I like that.
Yeah.
They deserve that.
And that's my story. That's my Hearts and Spades. A little different, a little bit more modern, a little bit more clear-cut, and no convoluted conspiracy theories, but it's an important story to tell. And yeah, I think it kind of sets up... I don't know. I guess it sets up my personal opinions on attempted murder.
Yeah, true. I mean, that's something we, like, just a topic on, you know, the podcast we haven't discussed yet, as far as, like you said, the actual definitions of these things, and even just sharing our personal opinions, because as great as the justice system is in so many situations, there are instances where, even though quote-unquote justice is served, it doesn't sit right in your gut at the end of the day. And I think that those cases are really important to talk about, because reform in general cannot happen if those conversations aren't happening. And I'm not saying we're going out and we're going to change the world or anything, but I do think that these conversations are important to have, and for other people to think about as well.
Yeah, and I think it kind of just sets the tone a little bit with the Spookery, just so everyone knows, like, how we approach things, and, like, our mentality and everything. Because I don't think I think this is probably our most clear-cut case that we've covered this season.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I think all of mine before have either not had a sentencing or have all been unsolved. I mean, yours with the cult one, it
was solved, but there was so many questions still unanswered, just because of how undocumented everything was. It was literally unseen, unknown, unheard. Like, it...
And the person that's out there who should have had justice inflicted upon them isn't on this planet anymore.
Exactly.
They are unalived. So
it's the truth.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's different. I think it's a different tone episode. It's a different kind of approach, but it's an important story to tell, and it's good to kind of celebrate these like kind of lesser known cases. These small town, like barely made. This one didn't even make like the front page of the BBC. This is all like subtle. This is like scrolling text at the bottom of the newsreel sort of thing, you know. It's just like, this also happened today, but also while this was going on, this was happening.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I actually escaped death, like the literal grips of death like this. You deserve a front page. This is like the front page worthy. I don't know what else happened that took the place of that. Like this woman, and I'm not saying put the spotlight on this horrible person. I'm putting the spotlight on this woman, this amazing, incredible human being that against all the odds stacked against her, survived in a dire situation. And I can't believe that is not a more celebrated story, like you said. But that's what we do here on the podcast, is we dig up those ones and give them a little extra attention.
Yeah, so this one's for you, Michelina. You got your own little episode in our spooky library, and we're celebrating your life, and we hope you're living well, thriving well, and yeah, keep being a badass.
Heck yeah! Cheers to that.
Yeah, chin chin.
Chin chin.
And that's it. That's the story in Ballamore. Wouldn't you like to know?
That sure does set the tone for Hearts and Spades in the future, ma'am. Like you said, that is such a different episode in general, and it can fall into so many other categories of survivors, of just so many things. And well, that could be a what the fuck case, because it's literally so unexpected of everything happening.
Yeah, and I think Hearts and Spades, it's such a different kind of category than what we've covered so far. It's not kind of whimsical. It's not traditional spooky. It's very, like, everyday horror.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a little different. I hope you guys liked it. And, yeah, like, if you've got your own little, like, small-town crimes like this that deserve their own stories, but, like, people aren't talking about them, please send them our way. I love little stories like this because they do deserve to be celebrated. Whether, you know, the victim, we celebrate the victim post-mortem, or we celebrate a survivor thriving.
Exactly.
Like, they are so important to tell. And it's... Yeah, it's... There's thousands and thousands of stories like this that are just out there.
It's true.
And I don't know all of them. I don't think I ever could. And more are happening every day.
It's true.
But we can celebrate the ones that come across us. Like,
absolutely. And I think you did a great job with your story today. Like you said, the way that you presented it, the way that we talked about Michelina. I am so happy to know this story and to have our listeners get to experience it as well.
Yeah. So, thank you for coming to Hearts and Spades. This has been my TED Talk.
It has been good, ma'am. I genuinely appreciate the effort that you have put into this one. This was a good story.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, I thank you for bearing with me on this slightly different tangent, but an important one.
Yeah, absolutely. That does bring us to what is going to be your final spin of the season.
It sure does.
Are you ready for that?
No.
And with that, let's spin that spookery wheel, TM.
All right, let me get it set up because it's
there's technical difficulties, folks. Hang on, I spoke
the
too
wheel.
soon.
It's a big and heavy wheel, and it's not there. Okay, my last wheel spin. Oh gosh, golly gee, my last. Guys, please let's pray to the spooky spirits.
Yes, please join hands with the closest person next to you. If you're on public transportation,
and if you're by yourself, just put your hands together.
Yes.
Grab your neighbor's hand if you've got someone nearby.
Yes.
And just spooky spirits. It's my personal season finale. It's the second to last episode in the thing. Let's make it a good one. Let's go.
Yahtzee, let's go.
Let's freaking go. All right, ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Spin! Absolutely. Watching the spokes go around is like, it's literally like, it's just dread. Oh. Oh, okay.
Oh, that's a good oh. That sounded very positive oh.
This one, I didn't know how I would feel if this particular situation happened, but
it's happened now, and how do you feel?
But I feel good.
Oh,
because
okay.
This is our very first repeat category.
What did you get?
So I have just spun cults and secret societies.
Yes, I was hoping. Oh man, I was literally like, please let it be cults. I'm so excited for your cult episode, ma'am.
So this season we have two cult episodes.
We are blessed by the Spookery spirits.
The Spookery spirits have blessed us on this day. We have cults and secret societies, and it's ladies' spin on cults and secret societies.
I'm literally popping out of my chair. Let's go.
So there you go. If you wanted a clean slate of a brand new category, unfortunately, you've got cults and secret societies yet again. But man, oh man, it's my turn.
Man, this is gonna be good.
Oh my! What
She's
cult?
popping the collar. It's getting real up in
what
here.
Cult do I've got so many. I think cults take up half of my spreadsheet.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Oh, what do I do? Ooh, I'm gonna have to think about this one. This is gonna take me a while to choose.
You have choices.
I have choices.
Choices.
What a way to round out season 1 on my end. Just bookending it with a repeat category. I don't know if I'm going to do a good a job as you, but man, oh man.
No, that's we're not going to compare them like that. It is going to just be, we're going to love them. Like how you look at a rose and you look at a daisy, two different flowers, still both beautiful. That's what's going to happen here.
Yeah, and they represent different things. It's different flower language. One says fuck you and one says I kind of like you.
Exactly. So we'll see which one your episode turns out to be.
Yeah, we'll see. And that's true. That's a really good reminder. We never ever compare episodes just because we get a repeat. They're never ever compared. Alana does an amazing job. I'm going to do a great job. They're going to be very different cults.
Exactly.
Let's see where the spookery spirits take me. What a thing to spin.
This is I'm really excited about this. Not only, like you said, it's our first repeat, but it's such a good way to round out the first season. Like that's awesome.
Wow, where do I go from here? Where do we go from here?
Oh, I am excited. I can see the ideas percolating in the brain.
I know. I'm literally I've got like a Rolodex in my head where I'm just spinning it, going, which cult will it land on? I gotta create my own second spookery wheel. And it's just full of cults.
I would love that. We have our big wheel, and then you're like, and then we pull out the second wheel.
It's just a pinwheel with just from cult names. I'm like, yeah, it's going.
I'm here for it. I want a mini wheel.
All right. Well, while I'm building the mini wheel, would you like to tease your high-profile case, ma'am?
I'm really excited about the high-profile case, and this is kind of fun. I actually was talking to Corey about this the other day, and I was like, I want to do a high-profile case that no one's heard about. And he's like, that is literally a paradox. Like, do you understand what you're saying? And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. Like, and I immediately was like, this is going to be the one that I can't surprise you with. You've definitely heard about this person.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot. There'll be a lot of trigger warnings for the next episode.
Oh, okay. I feel like it would be pretty easy to surprise me because I'm not in tune with celebrity culture and but also keep in mind that a lot of my upbringing was international, so I know a lot more about international cases. So if you've picked a high-profile American case from before I came to the States, you're very likely to surprise me.
That's true. Okay. I mean, so it is kind of interesting because when I originally Googled high-profile cases in America, like you said, this one was not on the list.
Oh, okay.
And then Corey reminded me of it when I had that conversation. He's like, you just said a really stupid thing. What about if you do this? And I was like, that is a fantastic idea. That's perfect. So it's one that I even I was like, how did I forget about this? But I maybe I can surprise you with it. So I'm excited.
I'm so keen. And I know that you're gonna absolutely blow my mind one way or the other. Whether I've heard of it or not, you're absolutely going to enlighten me on the little nuanced details that I never would have understood.
That's the beauty of the spookery. I'm going to do my deep dive, and I'm going to share all of those juicy little context all those little pieces of context with you.
Yeah, you've got to give the context, because I did not give a lot of context today, so...
Like you said, the context just was very clear, very
the context was present. It was there.
Yes, it was there. No explanation needed. It was like that. Yes. That is what happened.
That is what happened. But man, oh man, I'm so excited. High profile, then cults, then season finale of season 1.
Season finale.
It's coming. It's right around the corner.
I'm procrastinating a little bit. I'm like, if I don't write my next episode, then the next and the last one can't happen. It'll never end.
Write the second last one, I'll never have a last one.
Exactly.
What do we do then? We don't know.
We don't know. No, but I'm eager. I'm excited. It'll be a good episode.
Yeah, it'll be a really good episode. I know it will be. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. So, yeah. Where can they find us, Alana? Where can they find us on our beautiful socials?
Yes, you dear Spookery listeners, you can find us at SpookeryPodcast on Instagram, Twitter, on YouTube.
Yeah,
or
YouTube.
where can they send us mail? Where can they reach us, lady? Where can these lovely spooky people find us?
They can reach us through your nearby Ouija board. No, you can send us a Gmail at spookerypodcast@gmail.com. You can send any things we might have missed, any additions, corrections. You can also send your own stories. You can send your fan art if that's something you want to do. You
sure
can also
can.
ask us questions, because we're here. We exist.
We're sitting here looking at our inbox going, please send us some mail.
Yes, because we love interacting with you guys, and it's a really good thing for us to hold on to. We're also actively building our notes for our Spookery recap. So if you guys have anything for any episode that we've released, not just this one, but anything that we've released through the season and whatever we release next, if you guys have anything that you want to add, absolutely please send it to us. We will get it all ready for the recap. We will look into any questions, expand upon further ideas. You guys might have questions we didn't even think about. So
Yeah, and you can ask anonymously too. If there's something that you don't want to actually, you don't want your name on the podcast, that's fine. Send us something and just say, hey, I would love this question to be answered, but please do not credit me. That's perfectly fine too. But if you want that sweet credit, we'll name drop you.
Yeah, we won't dox you though. First name.
No.
And they live at this address, and they're
the biggest Spookery fan we ever had.
Speaking of biggest Spookery fan we've ever had, if you guys are enjoying the podcast, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. It means the world to us, and it gives us an idea that you guys are liking what we're doing, and we're doing the right thing. And if you don't like it, please also leave a 5-star review. We'll know the intent. But yeah, it means the world to us. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for coming on my short episode, retrospectively.
Retrospectively. It was a good journey. It was appropriately lengthed.
Yeah, it was a good palate cleanser. It was something different, and yeah, it'll segue beautifully into our high-profile cases, and then cults, and then season finale, and who knows what after. Whatever season 2 brings our way.
Yeah, whatever the Spookery spirits lay upon us.
Yeah. Well, until next time, everybody.
Stay spooky.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you later.
Bye-bye.
I just stumbled over every single... That was just a problem from start to finish. Great start. It's a 3-hour episode, everybody.
We're getting out all the mistakes. Now the rest of the episode are going to be so good.
Yes.